June 28, 1984, Blassel Park, Los Angeles. Jenny Vincow is 79 years old. She lives alone on the ground floor of a simple apartment complex. She feels safe. She leaves her window open a few inches to catch the night breeze. It's a habit. It's harmless. Until tonight. Sometime after midnight, a man slices through the mesh screen. He doesn't pry the door. He doesn't look for a safe. He climbs through the window and stands over her bed. What happens next isn't a robbery. It's an execution. He attacks her so viciously that she is nearly decapitated. He ransacks the apartment, but he leaves behind the valuables. He isn't here for money. He is here for the feeling of control. When the police arrive, they are baffled. There is no link between the victim and the killer. No enemies, no jealous ex-husbands. Just a random, brutal act of violence in the middle of the night. They file the report. They look for leads. They find nothing. The case goes cold. But the man who climbed through that window didn't stop. He was just practicing. And for the next 9 months, Los Angeles is about to become his playground. Who does something like that? Who looks at a sleeping 79-year-old woman and sees a target? Richard Ramirez wasn't born a serial killer. He was made, layer by layer. He grew up in El Paso, Texas, the youngest of 5. But the real damage didn't happen at the dinner table. It happened on the front porch with his cousin Mike. Mike was a Green Beret who had just come back from Vietnam. To Richard, he was a hero. But Mike didn't tell war stories about bravery. He showed Richard Polaroids. Real photos he had taken of mutilated women, of severed heads, of torture. Richard was just a kid. He sat there, smoking pot with his cousin, staring at these images of real human carnage. Mike taught him a lesson that stuck. People are meat. Hurting them is power. By the time Richard hits his teens, the wiring in his brain is fried. He starts sleeping in cemeteries because he likes the cold. He becomes obsessed with Satanism, not as an edgy fashion statement. He genuinely believes he is a soldier for the devil. He listens to heavy metal, specifically AC/DC, and convinces himself that the lyrics are instructions. He drifts to California. He has no job, no car, no address. He lives on junk food, cocaine, and hate. He roams the streets of Los Angeles looking like a homeless drifter, teeth rotting out of his head. People walk right past him. They don't see a threat. They just see a bum. But inside his pocket, he's carrying a knife. And in his mind, he's carrying a mission. March 17th, 1985. The silence breaks. Ramirez strikes twice in one night. First, he attacks Dale Okazaki in her condo. He shoots her point blank. Her roommate manages to duck a bullet and survive. An hour later, barely a few miles away, he drags a woman named Tsai Lian Yu out of her car and shoots her twice. 2 women, different locations. One inside a house, one in a car. The police look at the cases. They see gang violence. They see carjacking. They do not see a serial killer. Serial killers are supposed to have a type. They kill blondes or sex workers or hitchhikers. Ramirez has no type. He attacks Asians, Caucasians, Hispanics. He attacks the young and the elderly. He uses guns, knives, tire irons, hammers. This unpredictability is his greatest weapon. Because the police are looking for a pattern, they miss the man. They are looking for logic, but Ramirez is operating on pure impulse. By the spring of 1985, the attacks are escalating, and he starts leaving a message. He breaks into homes and wakes people up. He doesn't just want to kill them, he wants their souls. He forces victims to look at him and swear allegiance to Satan. But then he whispers, "Do you love Satan?" He draws pentagrams on the walls. In one horrific case, he draws a pentagram on the thigh of a victim. He is leaving his business card. He wants the world to know who he serves. But here is the catch. The police have clues. They have pieces of the puzzle, but they can't put them together. They find a baseball cap at a crime scene, a black mesh hat with an AC/DC logo. They find a shoe print in the flower bed, an Avia aerobic shoe, size 11.5. Detectives do some digging. That shoe is rare, extremely rare. Only 6 pairs of that specific model and size were shipped to Los Angeles. Think about that. In a city of 10 million people, only 6 people own these shoes. The police know what he is wearing. They know he listens to AC/DC. They know he has rotting teeth. They have a sketch. So why can't they catch him? Because of a series of mistakes that are almost too frustrating to believe. The police are drowning in information, but they are starving for knowledge. By mid-1985, 2 separate police departments are hunting this guy, the LA Sheriff's Department and the LAPD. But they aren't talking to each other. One department thinks they are chasing a burglar. The other thinks they are chasing a psycho who kills. They don't realize it's the same man. Ramirez exploits this gap. He hits a house in the county on Tuesday. He hits a house in the city on Thursday. He is jumping back and forth across invisible lines on a map, keeping the investigation fractured. And then, the moment that should have ended it all. August. A police officer pulls over a beat-up car for a traffic violation. Inside the car is Richard Ramirez. He is likely high. He is definitely armed. In the trunk or under the seat are the tools he uses to dismantle lives. The officer walks up. He looks at the driver. Ramirez doesn't panic. He stares right back. The officer runs the name. But remember, this is 1985. There is no instant national database. The computer comes back clean. The officer hands him a ticket, or a warning, and walks back to his cruiser. He watches the car drive away. That officer had the night stalker in his hands. He let him go. Why? Because Ramirez looked like a nobody. He didn't look like a master criminal. He looked like a wasted junkie. The banality of his evil was his best disguise. But luck runs out. Detective Gil Carrillo from the Sheriff's Department is the first one to figure it out. He screams at his superiors, "It's one guy! The shoe prints match! The ballistics match!" The brass doesn't want to believe it. One guy can't be this active, they say. He's everywhere. But Carrillo is right. And finally, Ramirez makes the mistake that dooms him. August 24th, Mission Viejo. He attacks a couple. He shoots the man, assaults the woman. But this time, a neighbor sees a suspicious car. An orange Toyota station wagon. They write down the license plate. The police find the car abandoned a few days later. They dust it. And there, baking in the heat on the rear-view mirror, is a thumbprint. The forensics team runs the print through a new state-of-the-art laser system. It whirs. It clicks. It spits out a name. Richard Ramirez. Born 1960, El Paso, Texas. The Phantom has a name. Now the police have a choice. Do they sit on the house of his friends and wait for him? Or do they tell the public? The mayor goes on TV. He holds up a mugshot. This is the man, Richard Ramirez. If you see him, call 911. Do not approach. Overnight, that hollow-eyed, gaunt face is printed on every newspaper in California. It's on every news channel. 10 million people memorize his face. The trap is set. But here is the supreme irony. Ramirez isn't in Los Angeles. He's in Arizona visiting his brother. He has no idea the press conference happened. He hasn't seen the news. August 31st, 1985. Richard Ramirez boards a Greyhound bus back to L.A. He sits there for hours, watching the desert roll by, thinking he's still anonymous. He thinks he's returning to his hunting ground. He is actually riding straight into a cage. He steps off the bus in downtown L.A. It's morning. He's thirsty. He walks into a liquor store to buy a soda. He walks past the newsstand. He looks down. And staring back at him from the front page of the LA Times is his own face. Under the headline, Night Stalker. Panic. Real, primal panic. He runs. He dashes across the Santa Ana freeway. He tries to carjack a woman, but he's desperate and clumsy. He pulls her out, but bystanders scream. This is the part that feels like a movie, but it's real. The police don't catch Richard Ramirez. The people do. When the judge sentences him to death, Ramirez doesn't cry. He doesn't beg for mercy. He looks at the jury and says these famous words. Big deal. Death always went with the territory. See you in Disneyland. Unapologetic to the very end. Ramirez died in 2013, not in the gas chamber, but in a hospital bed of cancer. A boring, pathetic end for a man who caused so much chaos. But he left a mark on Los Angeles that never washed off. Before the summer of 1985, people in the suburbs left their windows open. They trusted the night. After Ramirez, the sales of home security systems skyrocketed. The window bars went up. The locks were changed. He proved that you didn't have to be involved in a drug deal or a gang war to be a victim. You just had to be home. You just had to be asleep. So tonight, before you go to bed, you're going to do something. You might not even notice you're doing it. You're going to walk to the front door. You're going to turn the deadbolt. And you're going to check it one more time. And that is the Richard Ramirez effect.